I want to preface this stream by saying that this is going to be a very short one. I don't have much time because I have an appointment at 10. Not that that necessarily matters, because I've done half an hour and I believe even shorter streams than that. Um, but otherwise, I would like to have been able to try and go for longer than, half an hour or so. Okay, so what to talk about today? Well, I was kind of talking about how I think Colin should be different from Tony. How he should basically have two suits. One that's armor and one that's, for lack of a better term, more cloth based. Again, think something similar to Black Panther, but completely different design. Not, a panther, not animal, not fashioned after an animal in any way. Um, but still having some um, of its design taken from Ironman. And I know that sounds very weird, but if I could project my thoughts, uh, if I could project what I imagine into everyone else's minds, um, then I could show you what it would look like. But I can't do that. Also, I see we're at 18 viewers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please let your presence be known. And leave a like if you would. Would really appreciate that. So, um, then after I did the stream, I had another idea. Instead of two suits, I mean, well, would more or less be the same thing, but I guess it would be a more detailed idea, or a better explained idea. He would have what could be called an armor mode, where armor is added to the suit that he's wearing. It would kind of be like Batman in that he has an armor suit, and his regular suit. Um, Now, I am unsure as to the design itself. What should the mask slash helmet look like? And what should the armor uh, look like? What should, both of them look like? How radically different from Iron Man should his suit look? Could it be as um could the appearance be so far away from it that you would never um think that this character is in any way related to the Iron Man story? Or should it be more of a middle ground? You can tell that this is obviously someone who's associated with Iron Man. But, there are things about this suit that you might never have seen before with Iron Man. If the choice is to go radically different, what if, and we'll talk about the armor mode or the armor now. What if it was mythology inspired? Like, and what do I mean by this? Better way to put it. What if it was more in terms of design? What if it looked more? What if it looked fantastical, like something that the gods might wear? Maybe even something as guardian, like in its design, and I mean like its full on appearance. Hello there, Jude S9U. Welcome to the stream. So it could be if we go this route. Think, I'm sure you've all seen the types of armor that Thor and other Asgardians have worn. I don't recall the Greek gods having worn armor before. You could even look at the armor that Wonder Woman has every so often worn, or Hawk Girl, right? Those types of armors to be used for reference. Which could also make finding a different name easier. I mentioned that Tony's inspiration for Iron Man came from King Arthur. And this is what a friend told me, someone I know who's a huge Iron Man fan, who's read plenty of Iron Man comics. Hey Fresh, how's it going? Yeah, trying to be. I know I didn't make any of my private streams public yesterday. But I was out from 2 until like 8 or 9. So, Uh, but yeah. Um, and I hope this won't get boring, but I want to get this suit. I want to get it out of the way. Want to get it set in stone. Um, it's my belief that it should look more like something you might find in a fantasy. Now, the Iron Man armor that Colin will use is called the Helios, or at least that's what it is now. That might just be a project title. But he's going to get his own exclusive suit, and it'll not just be one, it'll be two, right? Hello, George Hang. Welcome to the stream. And then basically, once Tony is back, he'll reclaim his armor, and they'll build something new for Colin. So for the armor, I don't know why, but I can't get this one image out of my head where it's a helmet with what looks like bird wings coming out of the top, almost in a similar fashion to I'm trying to think of an example. Almost in a similar fashion to how horns will come out, will be present on certain helmets. But I don't know if a helmet that's inspired by a bird. I don't know if that's appropriate. But then I also don't really know who Colin is. Uh, Everything has an inspiration behind it. Iron Man's, armor suits, right? All have an inspiration that came from Tony. Something he thought of. He obviously had a reason to make it look the way it looks. Um, hello, hello, Juarez. How are you? So maybe we need to think about that. What's Colin's deal? Who are his favorite heroes? And I don't mean heroes from, the Marvel world. I mean, growing up, did he have favorite fictional characters? Did he like characters from mythology? Did he maybe even draw some of his own characters growing up. Maybe that could be the inspiration. What if Colin, for fun, would create his own heroes? Or hero. And decides to use that for the suit that he will use. That, honestly, to me, would be a very interesting way to go. Okay. So that would mean we'll have to create a sort of. It'll sort of be like having to try to create a comic within a comic. Now, we could also take it as far as Colin works for Tony Stark, obviously, but then he also is an aspiring comic book artist and writer. Or, heck, maybe that's one of the reasons why Tony initially didn't want to bring him in outside of not trusting new people. Because he didn't think that he could take it seriously. Maybe Colin had a friend whose father or maybe even mother who was the creator of a comic. And through this friend, Colin managed to make one of his own, and he profited off of it. Now the issue with this would be that Colin would probably be rich if it was highly successful. Or we could say that the comic either sold very poorly, was never put into circulation outside of just a concept being made. And so his original dream was to be a comic book writer and artist. But when that wasn't when that didn't become a reality, he chose science. And then through choosing science and eventually more or less becoming a right-hand man to Tony Stark, he then became the hero that he created initially as a fictional character. Using that character as inspiration for the suit that he ends up building himself. So, what's going to be difficult about this is I feel like the name has to sort of still connect with Iron Man. But if the suit's going to look like it's from a fantasy, while obviously still being made out of tech, it's just the appearance it has. That's going to be very tough. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. Will I think look at it this way to help get some ideas moving and growing. What does Iron Man stand for? And I don't mean in the public's eyes. I mean in Tony's eyes. I'll be honest with you. Having watched all the movies, granted, my memory is not the greatest. It's actually pretty terrible in some respects. But having watched all the movies and having read some Iron Man comics, I honestly couldn't tell you why Tony Stark becomes Iron Man outside of not wanting to manufacture weapons anymore and wanting to use his technology for wanting to use his know-how and his skill, wanting to use his skills and tech for other reasons, but not wanting to manufacture weapons and instead desiring to build something that will help people does not translate to I'm going to become a superhero or I'm going to fly around in a suit of armor and fight bad guys. Now, it does make sense in that, well, he needed a protective suit that had flight capabilities so as to escape the cave and fight off the the people who had taken him there. So it might have just been as simple as that, and he decides, hey, I built this, why don't I just take it a step further and advance the technology, right? But it is interesting how a person who only built missile systems would then go on to get into robotics. I would have to ask my friend about this because I'd want to be sure. Not that it's pertinent to this conversation, but So I guess Iron Man stands for and this has nothing to do with Colin, but redemption. Redemption. Um And actually, now that I think about it, Iron Man does definitely speak to Tony Stark's ego and, I guess, sort of arrogance that he now wants to be a protector of the people. He wants to be their knight. He wants to be the man of metal that rushes in to protect the people. And because he's got an ego and he's arrogant, he decides, I'm going to be their King Arthur. Not in that I'm going to rule over them and lead them, but that I'm going to fight for and protect them in the same way that King Arthur would have done for his people. It would explain the color choice, the red and gold. It does give it, in my opinion, a sort of royal look. Um, red and gold. I feel like the color red is often seen in royalty, at least in fiction. You know, and of course, as kings, they wear, they would wear golden crowns, and have golden rings, and have a bunch of gold for just gold coins and whatnot. But Colin was just interested in building technology to help people more directly. He didn't want to be a hero. So, what's going to push him in that direction? Is it going to be coincidence, happenstance? Something happened to Tony wherein he had to go into hiding, and because of that, I needed to. I had no choice. Like, I was the one that was trusted with this. And what about Ironheart? What if she exists in this comics? Within this comic that we're writing, why wouldn't she appear? I mean, personally, I've never cared for Ironheart, but she does have fans. I would imagine she's fairly popular. I mean, they gave her a mini series at least, and put her in a Black Panther movie. It's entirely possible that, as I go along with these videos, people might be like, well, is Ironheart gonna be in your story? I apologize for that screaming. There's kids out there playing or going somewhere. I don't know. I'm upstairs in my room. Not that it matters. So yeah, where's she? I think that's a question people could potentially ask. Also, where's War Machine? War Machine is somebody who would get involved if his friend Tony was in danger. So how do we tackle that? Now, we're not going to worry about the question of, okay, well, why doesn't one of the Avengers show up to help out? Because this is an Iron Man comic, which will then lead into a Iron Man tie-in comic. Heroes can, from time to time, pop up in other heroes' comics to help them, but they don't take center stage. As solo comics, not to take a dig at the movies, they do tend to do a better job of sticking with that hero and not having outside help. And those other heroes are usually doing other things at the same time, so they would be too busy to assist anyway. Which is what I think we'll go with. That the Avengers, they can't get involved because they're doing things um maybe they have their own personal missions to handle. So I think a personal reason for Colin would be, and maybe it is this simple, he blames himself. He was falling for this girl, and while he didn't tell her anything, he feels like he should have been intelligent enough. He feels like he should have been able to get a read on her and figure out that she's a spy. Even though Tony couldn't either, or maybe, and so he decides, look, I need to make up for this. I caused this to happen. Tony left, decided that I was to be trusted with using the Iron Man armor. Through working on things with him, I learned all there was to know about piloting it. And I mean, Tony wasn't like a pilot or anything, right? He didn't operate something like a robotic suit of armor prior to becoming Iron Man, right? He wasn't a pilot. He was just an inventor. He was an engineer. He built weapons for the military. So he had to learn it all from step one too, and it wouldn't really be hard for him to teach somebody how to control to operate the Iron Man armor. Not to mention the fact that the Iron Man armors, like the computers they have built into them, can handle a lot of the heavy lifting. I would say that the later models actually do that. Um, Apologies for that. I had to use the bathroom real quick. So yeah. Um, and addressing the whole thing with War Machine and Ironheart. I trust this kid. I trust this guy. You know, he kept trying to apply. I kept turning him down. Eventually, I met with him, heard what he was all about, saw his passion, slowly let him into the fold. Once I learned that I could trust him, I decided, you know what? He is an individual who I could trust everything with. Um, like if I needed somebody to replace me, to put on the armor and go out and fight a bad guy, or something, I could trust him with that. And you know what we'll also do? Um, this might potentially, I don't want to say put a wrench in the works. It might more dramatically change the plans for this story. I don't think Tony should trust this person after only Colin, after only knowing him for months. I'm thinking it should at least be I feel like even a year's not long enough. And obviously the question's going to be, all right, what have they been doing during that time? I don't know if comics would have like couple year time skip, especially when introducing a new character who's being introduced to a main hero as a sort of sidekick and possibly even a replacement. Temporarily, of course. So, yeah, like, what were they doing within that time? Or maybe Tony didn't completely trust him. Like he was starting to. He saw enough of himself in him. Maybe it could even be, all right. Like I haven't known him that long, but I trust him because one, I've done some digging. I've looked into his past. I've pretty much, done detective work to see what this guy's all about. He's clean, you know. He's not affiliated with any of my rivals. He's not associated with any of my enemies. Tony could obviously figure that information out because he's Tony Stark, right? He has his computers. He has his why can't I think of the word? His connections. Yeah. He can to some degree be as good of a detective as Batman. Not literally, but he's pretty good in his own right. And of course, he could also be like, "Look, Rhodes, I need you to do some digging, or Cap, or Fury. I need you to do some digging," and they would most likely do that for him. Oh, apologies for the yawn. I'm so sorry. And also, I'm gonna be ending this stream soon. Uh, I have an appointment, as I said. It's a virtual appointment. At 10 o'clock. So I'll be ending soon. So it's like I really don't want to leave this up to you, but there's no one else. Like, I've taught you how to use the armor. Because it was necessary to do so if you were going to understand it as we worked on it together. Which I think makes sense, right? If you're going to be involved in the building process for something, you need to know how it works. If it's something that requires some degree of human operation, you need to know how to operate it, more or less. A car manufacturer, you know, okay, maybe a better example. A plane manufacturer, someone who builds jets, even if they can't pilot it, they would need to know how to pilot it, right? Like how to control it. Um, a firearm manufacturer would have to know how to, fire guns. Because otherwise, it's not going to be good enough, you know? If you don't know how your own technology works and you can't operate it, then it's, it's not going to be good. It's part of the testing process. So, he knows how to operate it. But the real reason why Tony didn't want to trust him with this is because he didn't want to put him in danger. Rhodes is military. It's kind of his job, right? Not to put himself into danger, but, to go out there and deal with the bad guys. Don't take that too literally. I'm not trying to get into anything political here. But that is more or less what the military is supposed to be for. To deal with threats. It's especially the case with James Rhodes. He is that, shall we say, soldier, that military member who's all about fighting the bad guys and protecting the people. Going on missions to make, not make the world a better place, but going on missions that ultimately lead to defending people that are for security purposes. But Colin's not that. But, no one else is around. And he might even be thinking, well, look, he knows how to operate it. It's pretty powerful. It could protect him. He should be able to use it to fight off this new enemy. And if I really need to, like, I'll be watching him. I'm basically thinking that he'll be directing him through the computer, in the same way that Jarvis would had, and then later, was it Thursday, or was it Friday? Oh, Friday, I think it was, and later on, how Friday did that for Tony. The only difference being is that Tony is more or less, telling him what to do, like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. Because, I'm more experienced than you are. I obviously am Ironman. So it would be more like a Bruce and Terry McGinnis relationship in this respect. Ooh. Once again, I apologize for the yawning. So, There is more I would like to say on this in the stream, but I do have to go. So I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you for the views. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for all of the support. I really could not do any of this without you. And I hope that I will be able to continue to entertain you, as I assume I have been doing, because otherwise, why would people want to sub to me? There will definitely be another stream tomorrow, and I will try to remember to make those other streams that are not made public as of yet made public and have them uploaded every single day. To those of you who will and or may see this after it has been posted, to anyone who already knows the deal and is a sub, please comment your thoughts. As always, please leave a like. Share this and all my other streams / videos with people you know if you think that they might find this interesting. And maybe they would want to subscribe as well, or maybe they would want to subscribe as well. And to any newcomers, welcome. And if you enjoy what you are hearing, since I don't really show my face, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and commenting. If that is what you wish to do. Let's try to get to 300 subs. And as always, I'm going to leave you with this outro. The truth is, I am Iron Man.